Merry Christmas, world changers. And if you're enjoying this at some other time of the year, well, I still wish you happiness and love and joy and peace and hope as you enjoy this special episode of Spirit Centered Business where Gil Hodges interviewed me on Kingdom Talks. Enjoy. When we're seeking the more that God has for us, we have to make sure that our capacity to do the things that it takes to walk out our destiny is anchored in Father's kingdom rather than being anchored in our experiences and our conditioning and our belief systems. Hey there, I'm launching Quantum Capacity again in a new format. It's not going to be the challenge that I've done before. It's going to be a 12-week boot camp where we're going to take the time to go deep. 12 weeks of exploring exactly who you are. What is your identity as a son, an inheritor of the kingdom of God, and also as a king and a priest? What does that look like? What are the internal structures of your inner world built on? Are they built on lies or are they built on the truth of who God says you are? Join us for Quantum Capacity Boot Camp. It's starting soon.
Welcome to the Spirit Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
I am ready for Bralynn. I hope all of you are ready for Bralynn Newby. She used to be my co-host. Go ahead and bring Bralynn on. Bralynn, how are you doing?
I am awesome. Thank you, Gil. Thank you for having me on. This is such a treat.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time, but I mean, a lot of people might not know, but you were my co-host for probably the first, I don't remember, 6 months to a year.
I think it was longer than that. I think I think I did 100 episodes of,
my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So
It was a lot, and we had a lot of fun. So
yeah.
anyway, it's good to have you back on, and you've got your own thing going. So why don't you share with everybody who you are, where you're at, because a lot of people that are watching now might not have seen some of those old shows. So share
Right.
who you are, where you're at now, and what you got coming up.
Sure, of course. Well, like I said, I really appreciate you, Gil, and I appreciate everything that you've done. And part of my spiritual journey, we kind of walk that together. And so I thank you for that inspiration and motivation and teaching and everything. So thank you for that. So I am a spiritual business coach. I walk people through some of the issues in business based on the spiritual side. So we look on the inside. It's usually an inside job. If something's going on in your business, it's usually something going on in you. Just like if something's going on in your body, it's typically an emotional or spiritual issue. It's the same thing. So it gets projected through your business. And then I also help them establish their business in heaven constitutionally, like in 1 Samuel 10:25, when Samuel anointed Saul king, it says that they wrote down exactly what the kingdom was to look like, what set that apart, what was the king's responsibilities, how were they going to protect and provide for the citizens, what were the citizens' responsibilities, all of that. And it said it was so much that Samuel presented the book up to the Lord. And so when we're a business owner, we're the king of our kingdom, right? And so how is our business, our kingdom, going to look different? And how are we bringing heaven to earth through our business? And to do it in a way that's a covenant partnership agreement with heaven. Because when you set out to do business in the earth, what that looks like in the spirit realm is a declaration of war, because you're taking territory from the enemy. And you don't want to invade Pakistan with just your backpack, right? You want the full forces of the U.S. Army behind you. Well, when you're doing business, you want the full forces of heaven behind you. So you want to make sure that everyone is protected and resourced from heaven in their business. And I'm also really interested in health and longevity, because if we're to walk out our destiny, we're going to need to have energy. We're going to need to be healthy. We're going to need to live a long life to be able to do the big things that God is calling us to do. And so it's really about who we are, our identity, the legacy that we leave on the earth through our business, and the longevity that it takes to do those things. So those are my three big areas that I work on. I work on with myself. I do a lot of experimentation on myself, so with health stuff. So um, the kind of funny thing happened last year. I was doing Wim Hof breathing, which I know that you guys know what Wim
Yeah.
Hof breathing is, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to really stick to this, and I thought I'm going to do this for a month and see what happens. Well, about day 24 or so, I'm walking around and my pants are dragging on the ground. I'm like, what the problem is, right? And I get on the scale and I had lost 10 pounds. And I'm like, I did not change anything of my exercise or my eating or anything. It was simply the breathing. And so then I researched a little bit more. And sure enough, breathing can increase your metabolism up to 300%. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to breathe more often.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we've got some great testimony. That was just my own personal testimony with my health stuff, but we've got great testimonies with clients. We do some crazy spiritual stuff that results in amazing results on earth. In fact, just last week, we finally got a result in. We had prayed in August for one of my clients who had $144,000 tax debt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Something didn't get filed right and it got missed or whatever it is, and she's like, oh my gosh, we need to pray about this. So we prayed about that in August. Well, 2 weeks ago, the report came back that she didn't have to pay $50,000 for a lawyer, and the tax debt got reduced to $20,000. We're like,
Wow.
yay, God. Well, then
Yeah.
last week she goes, it's even better. It only got reduced. It got reduced to $9,000. So essentially, we saved her $184,000 by praying over it first.
Wow.
And so we set the
And
angels to work, and we said, this is what I'm like, oh my gosh, right? So
yeah, no, that is amazing. It's a great testimony, especially the taxes. I mean, you talk about going into you know,
right.
um, Afghanistan with just a backpack. You're now facing the U.S. government in the opposite side of the direction.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Well, when you establish your business with God, a lot of miracles can happen.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, hey, I just want to say, everybody, we're on a different night, Friday night, because I was sick on Wednesday night, and so hit that share button, hit the like button, get the word out there to let everybody know that we're on here. And if you got any questions for Bralynn, bring the hard ones, make her sweat a little bit.
Oh, geez. Well, I can always just plead the fifth, right? You're gonna have to talk to the Lord about that one. I don't know. But yeah, Gil,
Uh,
so you and I kind of brought spirit-centered business back to life, because I had started it in 2014, but
yeah,
then the church was not having it, not ready for
right.
understanding the emotional component of emotional intelligence is really a three-dimensional spirit, soul, and body conversation, and they just did not want to hear that, or the frequencies of any of it. So
Hmm.
you gave me the confidence to bring it back to life again in 2018 or so.
Yeah.
And so we launched a couple of webinars, and we did some stuff, but I started Spirit Centered Business podcast then on January 1st of 2020. So it's been going weekly since. So we're into
Awesome.
180 episodes, because I only do it once a week. Yeah, I know you do it more than one, but
I did it at a time. Yeah, I'm back to one a week right now.
yeah,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
this is awesome. I'm so glad to hear it.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
So now you've written a book recently. In fact, you've got at
I
least
did.
2 books.
I
So
do.
yeah, go ahead and put those up
Yeah,
and
this is my most recent book. This is Discover Your Business Destiny: Co-creating, Stewarding, and Standing to Manifest God's Divine Plan. And this comes from working with my clients, working with myself, and understanding how the spiritual dynamics of using your imagination to connect. And I got to give a shout out to Christopher Carter on this, right? I wouldn't be doing what I do without
Mhm.
him. And so the dedication is to Christopher. So
Mhm.
sail on, navigator. We love you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So using your imagination and the purposes of doing it and stepping into the spiritual realms, into the heavenly realms. And why do you want to do that? And the first one is always intimacy. We always
Mm.
have to seek the kingdom
Yeah.
first. It's always about what is Father
Interesting.
doing. See what Father's doing. What does he have for you? And it might not be about business today. It might be
Yeah.
about the words that we say, or other things personal to us, right? It's
Yeah.
always kingdom first. That's number one, is always
And can I jump in for just a second? 'Cause I mean, you're
absolutely.
going down your list of things, and it's like you got that as number one. And I just shared just last week, maybe 3 days ago, might have been 4 or 5 days ago, but just the idea, for my book is choice, and I'm like,
Mhm.
the number one choice that you can make is to spend intimate time with the Father. Because if you
Oh,
spend
that's
that
so
intimate time with the Father, all the other choices become a lot easier.
right. Right,
Anyway,
right.
go ahead,
That's
keep going.
good. Yeah. And so then the second reason that you would even want to step into the heavenly realms is for your identity, to know who you are. Because so many of us have been conditioned and programmed by lies and false beliefs and things like that that lie to us about our identity, and we don't know who we are. And in fact, Gil, I'm just launching my new quantum capacity boot camp. I've done the quantum capacity challenge 3 times, but I'm doing a 12-week boot camp so we can stretch it out and go longer and deeper. But that is all about identity, those inner structures. I call it quantum capacity because the quantum realm is where your thoughts and your beliefs live. And that thoughts and beliefs are how you shape and frame up your identity. Who do you believe you are, right?
Yeah,
And how
yeah.
you act and frame up your physical world depends on what's going on in your inner world.
And it's so
So
good because you'll manifest from what you're
ex-
thinking and believing, you'll manifest.
exactly. And so that quantum capacity is looking at assessing those inner structures to make sure they're built on the solid truth of what the Lord says. And so then that's the second piece in my book, as far as why you want to go into the heavenly realms, is to know who you are, know what God says about you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then we go into understanding that you are a citizen of heaven. We are seated in Christ in heavenly places. And being a citizen of a place, we want to know what it looks like, right? We were never taught this in church, but if we're a citizen, we know where the post office is, where the Walmart is, whatever, you know what I mean? We know it's where the things are. So
And what's a post
we,
office?
yeah,
I
right,
never
right, exactly. Who does that anymore, right? And that's where the Amazon trucks come from, right?
right.
Just kidding. But excuse me, that's one of the reasons why we always want to um Father says so many times in the Bible, he says, know my ways, seek my ways, understand. Well, how will we know his ways if we're not taking our throne and taking our place as seated in Christ and looking out through Christ's eyes and seeing what's going on in the throne room, in the courtroom, in the dance hall, wherever you're meeting with Father God,
Yeah.
to know his ways, right? And then we get more into the business, like your legal paperwork and your authority. And that's another reason. And that's why when you're receiving your destiny scroll, that is the legal paperwork that the Lord literally wrote before the foundations of the earth. When he says he knew you, he also knew your assignment.
Mhm.
And we have more than one scroll. We have scrolls for our marriage. We have scrolls for the projects we're going to work on. We have the scrolls for the college that we're going to attend, and the different pieces and seasons of our life. There's scrolls for that. And
Yeah.
heaven writes down everything. There are so many scribes in heaven, and he keeps track of even the hairs of our head, the Bible says.
Mhm.
So all of that is in heaven. And I walk people exactly through how to receive the scroll, and then how to start co-creating, doing the visioning work with the Lord. And when you buy the book, there's also a link in there to get the audio of that guided encounter so that you can receive that scroll and do that visioning work with the Lord by listening to it and just focusing on what you see in the heavens rather than reading the book. So that is in there. And then, of course, I talk a little bit about the Declaration of Trade, which is that covenant partnership agreement to establish your business in heaven. And I do have an online course for that. But that's pretty much what Discover Your Business Destiny is all about.
And your website again is?
My website is spiritcenteredbusiness.com.
Yeah.
And the book will come up in a pop-up there, and you can join the free masterclass. I'm going to do the kickoff of Quantum Capacity Bootcamp is going to be a free masterclass. I'm actually having 2 instances of it. Thursday night, the 28th of December this month, and Friday morning, the 29th. And you can go to spiritcenteredbusiness.com/QC-kickoff. QC-kickoff. And
all right,
Karen
and it's there in the notes. It's in the chat in the comments area right now. Cool. Thank you, Karen, for getting that.
Thank you, Karen. We love you, Karen.
Karen's in the background. Yeah, Karen's always in the background doing all the work and making sure everybody's taken care of. So
she's the awesomest worker bee. Just amazing.
Well, let's see. What else do you have going on? Anything that you go ahead?
So much. Yeah, I have a lot going on. But excuse me, let me take a drink a second here. With my cucumber in it, because just getting the antioxidants.
You live another year longer.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
that
sure.
Cucumber, and then another cucumber is another year.
Right.
So it's just about how many cucumber slices you can have in your water. Each one adds a year.
Right. Just don't drink the water if you've let your cucumbers sit overnight. Just like no rotten food in the house.
Yeah. All right. So Deeper Dive is going to be coming up after the top of the hour here. So if you want to join that, it's going scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now. So don't miss it. Deeper Dive, kingdomtalksmedia.com. And if you're not a member there, you have to join to become a member, but it's $10 a month, and you get all the behind the scenes stuff that we do right here every Wednesday night, except for this night, which is Friday night. Unless you want to call it Wednesday night, you can if you want to, but it's really Friday night. Anyway, I'm in a little spunky mood for some reason. So Bralynn, why don't you go ahead and share whatever else you got, because and I'm not even on any medication.
Well, I feel like I'm on medication kind of right now, because I'm on like about a 3-second delay because when it started streaming. So my video is like behind me. It's like a surreal experience. What was it? Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I feel kind of like, what's going on?
Wow.
Okay. So one of the other things that I have going on is I am a member of a health team that we work multidimensionally for healing and health, not only in our physical body, but in our emotional and in the spiritual, as far as generational.
Is that with Lindy Strong?
No.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you were connected with her. Okay.
You know what? Lindy and I were going to do a cruise in 2020. And
that's right. I remember that.
When the pandemic hit, that all just left. And so we just never really did anything beyond that. But this is what we are doing. So I'm working with 2 nurses and a chiropractor and another spiritual coach. And we bring clients in on a Zoom, because we're all over the country, and we assess what's going on in their body, and we come at it in their emotions and the spirit. And then we can also do remote, like quantum testing, as far as muscle testing remotely, and determine what is exactly the need of their body at the moment, and what supplements it needs and what is not good for it. Because sometimes, like a naturopath or something can prescribe a bunch of supplements, but if they're not the ones that are specifically what your body wants, then it costs a lot of money, right?
That is the tough thing. The body life in general is just, it's simple and yet very complex. It's like what works for you is not necessarily going to work for me. And I can't remember. I was just listening to a podcast recently where they were talking about how, talking about the efficacy of many of the drugs that are given out. And it's a ridiculously low number that they have to have success with in order for that
Yeah.
drug to be approved. And
Yep.
it's just amazing. And the whole point being of what I'm trying to say is just that you're so right. The body, your body, my body need different things at different times of the day, at different times of the year, at different times of our life. And it is not one shoe fits all at all.
Right.
It's so much more complicated. But at the same time, when you are listening to your body and are able to hear your body, and I've had some other people that have done the quantum uh, link and so forth, and
Mhm.
very interesting. My daughter-in-law does that as well.
Right. I know I
Very,
was trying to get a hold of her. I would love to have her on with me.
yeah, yeah. Well, they just had our first grandbaby.
Yep.
Their first
Yep.
child, but our
Yep.
first
Your
grandbaby.
first grandbaby. That's more important, right?
Right. So anyway, she's a little busy right now, but I'm
Yeah.
sure at some point she might have some more time anyway. But
Right.
very cool.
Well, I discovered that it really makes a difference because as I'm working with emotional things, I use lie busters as one of my main tools. You know
Yep.
Jonathan
Yep.
Cabin,
Yep.
right? And when I was working with clients, they would often have physical healing as well. And so I said, "Ooh, I'm onto something here." And so we can literally lie bust the parts of the body or the reason why, the emotional reason what's causing the problem in the body and get rid of it, and then get rid of it on generationally. And then the other the chiropractor who also does neuro-emotional technique, and one of the nurses also does NET. It's called neural emotional technique, and does the testing for what's going on emotionally, right?
Hmm.
So they can come in and then ask the body what the supplement or what the treatment is
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes it's not a supplement. Maybe it's just your body just does not want broccoli anymore. Like you've over
Yeah.
broccoli, and that happened to me. I over broccolied myself, so I had to just stop broccoli.
Yeah.
so 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 we do that, and then there's also the hypothalamic reset, which is an amazing tool, and I learned how to do it in Kentucky. I've been over there a couple times now. The hypothalamus is the gateway for where Satan comes in, and he can attack your body by attacking your thoughts. That's where he can
Mm.
put a thought in that your body will think is a real thought. There you go. There you go.
It's a choice also because we
Exactly.
have total power and authority over him. It's a choice whether or not we want to entertain those thoughts or not.
Exactly. To if you hear you're not good enough, and then you turn around and say I'm not good enough, well, you just came into agreement with it, and you just
Yeah.
open that door and that access point, right? But
Yeah.
some of the things are so dang subtle. Gil, I hear Christian songs that even like they sing in Bethel and stuff that have this subtle nuance to them that allows the Satan to come in. And I'm like, oh wow, if people only knew how powerful their words are and what
Mm.
those words literally mean.
Now,
So
because you're going to have a lot of people now wondering what the heck you're talking about when you claim songs from Bethel with words that let the
oh,
enemy in.
the the
Explain
the
that for them. I
the
mean, I could give some
phrase,
examples, but you probably have a specific one.
yeah, well, I just have this specific phrase of a song that someone was quoting and saying, oh yeah, that's from Bethel. It says, I lose my ability to fear.
Hmm.
And when you think about Jesus, did he cause any loss?
Did he what?
Even when you have your old man, you die to self, it's not a loss. He says, count it gain, right?
Yeah.
So when you're programming yourself with I lose my ability, it's
Okay.
like, oh, there's something in there
So
that's like, if you, let's just turn that into the positive instead of
yeah,
saying
okay.
I lose my ability, right?
I thought that's where you were going. Yeah, because
Right,
it
exactly.
is important the words we use. We can oftentimes say the same thing, but put it into
Put
positive
it
terms, and then
exactly.
we're not and it's like I call them strong words, but they're the words that people would not normally use. And I love Paul Young because he just uses it outright, and he'll say it right on the show, and he just says, it's not a how's they say it? The curse is saying that you are a piece of shit. That's a curse to say that. Now to say that the paper over here is shitty or whatever, however you want to say that, that's the word itself is not a curse. It's how you use it. But these strong words also carry a frequency.
They carry the frequency,
They
yeah.
carry a frequency that can draw you down a road that perhaps we don't want to go. So
Well, not
that's
only
my
that,
thing
but
with using those words.
yeah, and the frequency also builds. It
It does.
builds it you're either building the kingdom of darkness or you're building the kingdom of the Lord.
Yeah.
And they're, you know, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, those words, they all carry a frequency, and
Mhm.
it can have something to do with how you say it and the context of which you say it, obviously.
Yes, yes.
So all of that matters, but at the same time, are you conscious and are you aware of the context and the frequency that you're using it in if you use it?
Yeah,
Because I've known people in the past anyway that just every other word out of their mouth is one of those words. And
yeah,
I'm like, dude, anybody who doesn't like those words, number one, they're not going to want to be around you. Number two is that even when you really do want to use strong language to get a point across, too bad, because you use those words all the time and no one's going to pay attention to you now. It's like the little boy crying wolf.
yeah.
So now, and I've used those words on occasion. I have nothing wrong with you using those words, especially when you want to get someone's attention, if you need that. And I was in a situation like that a few years ago where it was not a death situation, but definitely a pretty traumatic situation about to happen had someone not stopped what they were doing, and they didn't know that what they were doing was affecting something else that was going to cause this, you know, cataclysmic little event. and and so I finally used some very strong words because I was yelling at them, and it was a really loud area. And so whether they could hear me or not, but when they heard those words come out of my mouth, oh, it got their attention fast.
Yeah, yeah.
And it stopped, and it really helped that situation tremendously. But
Right,
to really be aware of how and when we use those words, to really be aware of how and when and what we are allowing our minds to think and play
right,
with and spend time on, most of us are not. And yet that is a key to take every thought captive
right.
and to really analyze it and decide what you're going to do with it. I see
And it
Karen
really
doing this and wringing her hands because it is break time.
is it break time?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll
break
see you on the
time.
other side then.
All right, we'll be back right after this.
Hey there, thank you for joining Kingdom Talks. We are taking a short break to share with you the life-changing online course called Ultimate Impact. Gil and Adina do an amazing job taking the complicated and making it simple and applicable for your life. Ecclesia groups are using this course to shift their thinking into the next age paradigm. Yeshua spoke of power, authority, love, and oneness that we have yet to walk in. So if you're ready to deconstruct limiting beliefs in order to step into what Father is doing now, this course is for you. Sign up today at kingdomtalksmedia.com under the Courses tab. Now, back to the show.
Oh, I was going to scoot back and roll in and say, hey, we're
Oh,
back.
they were back, right? That is so cool that you're still doing Ultimate Impact, because I remember when you and Adina and I were sitting in that coffee shop trying to figure it out. what's going to be in it? How much you're going to charge? How long should it be? How should we market it? All of that stuff. So yay, good on you for
You were
keeping
there
it
in the
up.
beginning.
It's a really good foundational course that I would just advise anyone to go through. It's very
Yeah,
good. I mean, it was good then and it's good now. So it's
it is.
gooder
It is.
now actually, because you've redone it a couple times.
Well, we haven't redone it. That's the crazy thing, is we have not redone it. It's the original.
Wow. It's
Yeah,
back to the original. Wow.
it's the original.
Oh
So
my God.
I am actually planning to start redoing some geared around choice. And so those would
Nice.
hopefully be coming out in the first quarter of next year. And I think
Nice.
that's going to be really powerful, incorporating the power of choice and what we already have. And I think it'll be really good. Really
Cool.
good.
I want to come back to words, and then I'm going to come all the way back to the hypothalamus. But let's I'm rewinding in stages. So
Mhm.
coming back to words a second. What really helps you to be aware of your words is to feel them. Really
Mm.
feel what you're saying. And when you're making declarations, especially if you're in the heavenly realms and putting on your crown and standing in your kingly authority to declare what you want to see on the earth, which is why we're here, right? We're here to restore the earth and to restore ourselves and restore everything around us. So when you're making those declarations, when you feel that, that is when it has the most power, because it's coming multidimensionally. You're having the thought in the quantum realm or spiritual realm or Father's kingdom, wherever, and then it's coming through your soul, which is that bridge, and through your heart, and then into your body, and you can vibrate that out into your atmosphere, and that is bringing it all the way from the spirit realm through into the physical realm. And that is what co-creating actually is, and that's manifesting what you want to see in the world by starting there and standing on that it is finished frequency. And
Yeah.
even if it doesn't look like it around you, don't look at it with your eyes. Look at with your spiritual eyes what you want to see instead, and then speak that out, and then have that feeling of it is finished, and that's what will bring it to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So coming back to that hypothalamic reset. This is such a cool technique, because that hypothalamus is that gateway, like I said, for all of Satan to come into your body to allow that. But also it's like the on off switch for genetic expression for different things going on in your body. And so you can literally reset that hypothalamus in 30 seconds to turn something off or on, whatever your body is saying. So you let's just say you're having gut issues, and so you hold a vial in your hand of like the healthy flora that are supposed to be in your gut biome, right? And you
Mhm.
hold that in your hand, and you do a muscle test, and you say, oh yes, my body wants that. Okay, so then you take a hypothalamus vial and you put that in with it. So if I retest the hypothalamus, will that work? And your body says yes. Okay, so then it's just they have specific places on the back where they reset that hypothalamus, and it's so interesting. And then you can take that back out of your hand and test again, and it will be reset. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, this is so dang cool. And we figured it out quantumly, because I had someone sitting in one room and I was in the other. And what I did in my spirit, I picked up the vial and I handed it to their spirit. I called their spirit forward. And, obviously they know that I'm doing this. It's not anything woo woo, right? And so I called their spirit forward and I handed that vial to them in the spirit realm. And I instructed their spirit. I said, Spirit, would you please give this to your body? And they did, and it worked.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. So obviously, these are the kind of experiments that I love doing, just figuring out how we can really work through the different dimensions, multidimensionally, to heal ourselves, to heal what's going on in our business, what's going on in our relationships. I've been working on more marriages lately, even though I'm a business coach. Just they're coming to me because I am able to shift paradigms and shift people's perspectives and release some junk and stuff like that. And they're like, "Oh, would that help with my marriage?" I'm like, "Well, let's try it."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely. No, and there's so many things, there's so many levels at which especially Christians, unfortunately, have not been willing to go down the roads because they've been told it's taboo and all that. When in reality, it's not that, the occult may use it, but it doesn't mean that belongs to the occult. And it's something I've said, way back from the very beginning. It's like, if it's got power to it, then God's created it, because
well, it
Satan
depends on
cannot
where the power
create.
is coming from,
Satan cannot create, so he can't,
right?
he cannot, he cannot make the sun, he can't make the powers and the energies, and especially the things at the quantum level that God has already made. And
Well, but they do the dark
they
side
can
does
manipulate
power up
them.
they power up with blood sacrifice. That's
Yeah,
what abortion is all about.
yeah.
They power up so they can draw power from the second heaven. And that's why it's always important that you're operating
Make
in
sure
Father's
you're
kingdom,
going through
intimacy with the
Jesus.
Father, and
Yeah,
through Jesus is the only
yeah,
door, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the some of the practices could heal you, but when you're healed from a power that's not God, now you've just made an agreement. Now you've made an
Mm,
access point that Satan has into you, and now there's a price to be paid, right?
mm.
Where Jesus paid the price. When we get healing from the Father, the price is already paid. Jesus bore everything. By his stripes we are healed, right? So I just stay away from things that are drawing power from the wrong
Yeah,
places, because you don't want to make agreements. You don't want to make covenants in contract. And sometimes the covenants are buried in the contract and you don't even know about the covenant. And it's kind of crazy, but we find these all the time in the spirit realm. They're liens against people's creativity, or they're they had made deals. Okay, here's a crazy one. Can I just give you another testimony of a crazy
sure.
story? Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I have a client in Australia who he's a doctor, and he owns as a co-owner in like 180 nursing homes, and he's around LHS, lingering human spirits, all the time in these nursing homes because they
Mm,
glom onto people, right? So we've had a lot of testimony with those. But his other company is a manufacturing company. He manufactures kombucha. So the story that I want to tell, well, I could tell you lots of them, but the one I want to tell is he was running into such toil. Everything was a struggle with the kombucha business, and just hitting a brick wall, and everything is so much work. He goes, it's taking me 3 days for something that should have taken 30 minutes, and all of this kind of stuff. So we asked Jesus, where is this coming from? And we found out that it was on his mom's side, Druidism, 27
mm,
generations ago, because he was
mm,
from
mm.
Romania.
Wow.
Well, and the covenant that had been made was that we will work hard.
Mm.
It seems so innocuous, right? We
Yeah.
will work hard, right? Well, the
Seems
the
like a good work
trade that
ethic.
was made, exactly. Yeah, exactly. The trade that was made and the ritual that was performed, we had to erase all of that. Well, we got that done, and repented for all of it, forgave the ancestors, and did the whole thing. And we asked Jesus what the result of this was, and he says, well, the harvest can now come to the barns. And we're like, woohoo, that sounds good, but he's not a farmer, so what does that really mean in his business? And he literally heard that he will get more beverage customers. Okay.
Mm, mm.
8 minutes after we got off this Zoom call, Gil, 8 minutes, he got a call from one of his largest customers, and they doubled their order for December.
Love
And
it.
just to
Love
put
it.
this into context, his customers are like PepsiCo. So we're not
Yeah.
talking just a couple $1,000s here.
Yeah, no, that is awesome, and it's so true and so powerful. I mean, we've done court sessions, very
Mhm.
similar things, going
Sure.
through and been in the middle of them, and literally in the middle of it while we haven't even finished, and people getting texts on their phones and business stuff as well. So business stuff, family
Yep.
stuff, marriage stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
All the
it's been
time.
very,
All the
very.
time.
That's why, in both my books, I talk about the courts of heaven because for me, that has been the most effective thing. They're all tools. They don't work for everybody, but that courts of heaven, man, it just
No,
seems
I
to
think
hit the spot.
the courts definitely work. And lie busting is really the courts, but in just
Just a
easier
different way.
language.
Well, in maybe not every instance, but almost everything we're doing, the intercessory prayer and so many other things, the prophetic words, it's all coming from the courts of heaven and so forth that we just never really realized it. So,
Right.
but it's just what way of working in that arena works best for you. That's the
Right.
bottom line. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're basically working in an arena and it's working for you and you're able to apply it to other people, which is really powerful.
Right.
Very good.
Yeah, and I have so many amazing testimonies and stories that people would tell, and that's why I really, not everyone can work with me one on one, and my capacity is only so much, but I do have group programs, and that's why I'm doing the quantum capacity group program, and it's a very, very reasonable price, and we're doing it in the evenings, which is new and different because I usually do things during the day. But we had some people who I've been doing gatherings around the country, one in Kentucky and one in Minnesota anyway, and they were people who actually had jobs and they want to start a business, but for right now they're in corporate, so they couldn't do it during the day, so that's why we're doing it in the evening. And like I said earlier, well, in the first part of the segment, it's all about that, the inner structure and what's going
Mm.
on the inside, and what are you made of? Are you built on I'm not good enough, or are you
Yeah.
built on I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me? You know?
I spend, well, a big part of my book, but the second chapter is called Challenges to Choice. And those challenges are the programming that we've
Yeah.
all received. And it starts from within the womb and all the way through, and
Or even
even
before.
genetically coming down
Yep,
from your ancestors. It's all
exactly.
programming that we have got to be aware of and come to this place where we can come against it, understanding that those agreements shape our life and the path for our journey. So, it's important for us to be aware of these things and understand them if you want to change your life. My
Right.
heart is I want to help people find their fulfillment. I want to help them find their
Yeah.
purpose and their meaning in life. And oftentimes, even our purpose is so jacked up from programming. Our programming generally comes from capitalism. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
That's
it's
why
a
you need to go get your destiny scroll.
Yep, yep, yep.
What does Father really write about you?
Exactly, and I think, the capitalistic mindset, which, it's the best system I think we've got right now that man can offer, and so we go with it. But we do have to be careful that we don't get sucked into the competition of it, which that is a big deal for a lot of people,
Yeah.
and the comparison of it. Comparing, it's like, well, they've got the big house and the big fancy car and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, who told you that you were supposed to have that? Who told you that that's what you wanted to have? Because honestly, look at many of those people that have that. They still do not feel fulfilled
Yeah.
because they're constantly looking for that outside thing that's going to solve
Mhm.
what's actually can only be solved in here. That's
Yeah.
a big deal.
It's
Well, we
so
got
true.
about 10 minutes, 12 minutes left. What else you want to share with us? And hey, appreciate everybody who's on here, and definitely would love some questions if you got some questions for me or Berlin. And like I said, got about
Well,
10, 12 minutes.
I could share my screen and we could talk a little bit more about the quantum capacity, that the masterclass that's coming up, because it's free for everybody to jump in. And this is the kickoff to the boot camp, but I'm opening up the masterclass for free. So it's like
Yeah.
an overview, and we're going to just do the 3 keys that it takes to expand and align your inner world. So
Go ahead and do that. And
okay, let me see if I can do this the same way that we practiced, right?
right.
Did I do it right? Did we?
Evidently, you did
Evidently not.
earlier. I don't know about now. I don't see anything yet.
Okay. Oh, there, and one more button to
There
click.
you go.
All right.
All right. Karen, are you doing it or am I doing it? There we go. All right.
Okay, so the Quantum Capacity Kickoff Masterclass, 3 keys to aligning and expanding your inner world. Encounter Jesus to deepen intimacy, remove the barriers to reveal your true identity, and build inner structures to carry out the destiny God designed for you. So, why join it? Because it's time for kingdom believers to get serious about bringing the full expression they were designed to be. Whoops, I put an R in there. I need to get a D on there to be in the world.
R&D.
The world needs you to be fully you. Yep. So it's time to learn the truth about your magnificent design, let go of the lies you've been told, and come into encounter with the one true God. So these are the times: Thursday, the 28th at 6:30 Eastern, or Friday, the December 29th at 11 a.m. Eastern.
That's my birthday.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, happy birthday in advance. Yeah, and I'm gonna present the same class on both days. Obviously, with the different questions that I get, it might be slightly different, but I'm gonna present the same content. So you just get to choose whichever of those 2 work for you. So you can go on over to this website at spiritcenteredbusiness.com/QC-kickoff and register for this free Zoom. And even if you can't be there live, go ahead and register, because then you'll get the replay. Okay.
Awesome.
All
Okay.
right. Now, see if I can stop sharing. Did it work?
Yep. You all heard it. So there you have the information. And do you have, well, the website was already put in there, and that's on your website, right?
It's on the website. Yes, exactly. I think that I need to put it in a menu yet. So it might not, I think you have to navigate to that just right now in the live. But as soon as we're done live, if you're watching this on replay, it'll be done. So you'll be able to find it in the menu.
How's that going to happen? Oh, you're
right?
going to do it.
It's gonna be just, I'm gonna feel the "it is finished" energy, right? And it'll just push into my website.
You're going to intend for it to happen, and it's going to
I
happen. You've
will.
already intended. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for the happy birthday from the Facebook
Yeah.
user. Unfortunately, Facebook doesn't tell us who you are. So unless you tell us who you are, we don't know.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
had
would
one
you
of
like
those
another
birthdays.
testimony?
Go ahead.
Oh, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just asked if you would like another testimony. I mean, because I can talk about
Yeah, we got
testimony.
about 8 more minutes, 7 more minutes.
Okay. All right. This one is cool because it's marriage and business both together.
Okay.
So I was working with the wife of a couple from Australia, and I did a libus with her, and then she wanted to do one on the business. I said, well, if you're partners with your husband, then I need to have him here too, so that we're not trying to do a business with only half of the party, right? I want to be all parties present. So we were doing this libus for the business, and what God showed them, what was going on in the business was they were sacrificing pricing to get contracts. It's a manufacturing business, and they were cutting their price so that their profit margin was so tiny just to get contracts. And they said that's unsustainable, that they and people, their best manager was thinking about leaving, and they had already lost some of their employees. And so that's why they came to me. And when we were in this libusting the business, well, it turned into libusting the marriage, because the husband had been, I don't want to be dishonest. Well, you don't know who it is anyway. So he hadn't been honoring his wife. And what showed that was that manager who wanted to leave, he wasn't being honored. And so when the husband said, wow, this is really going on, and he asked his wife to forgive him, and there were tears, and it was so beautiful that he just, wow, I didn't realize I was treating you like this, and all of this stuff. They healed that marriage. And the next week, because we were working every week, that he said that manager decided to stay.
It's good.
And that's when the wife said, yeah, I was thinking about going too, thinking about leaving. And she said, no, I'm going to stay. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that was amazing. Yeah. But it
Yeah.
gets better, because we went on then to do some more work, and the Lord showed us that there were hidden things going on in the foundations of the business. It had been built on, there was some fear and scarcity, and I don't know if this is going to work, and some lies that were built into the foundations of the business. And we had to treat the business like an entity and ask the business for forgiveness, and actually literally clean up those lies that had been embedded into it, because it's a thing. It carries vibration, and it carries a frequency, and the culture that you create in business, it's alive, right? So anyway, we got that cleaned up, and the next time I met with them, they had gotten a government contract,
Yeah.
like from the government of Australia, ordered some stuff, and they got it at top dollar prices. They said, we stood firm on our prices. We are
Yeah.
so proud of our manufacturing. We're proud of this business. We honor this business. We're no longer going to price cut and slash and try and strive. We're going to stand on what we know is good. And they got that contract in the next week.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
it was so cool.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Very
Someone
cool.
just said it's vitally needed. Yes, it is vitally needed. Establish your business in heaven, because here's the thing, Gil. We say we want to be in business, which is a declaration of war, and then we go to the state and get a business license. We might pray about it. Oh God, please bless my business. But that is not putting kingdom first. And
Yeah.
I didn't know this. I didn't know this until I sat with Holy Spirit and took communion and said, okay, what does this look like? What really needs to happen for this? So it's such a different paradigm when you're operating from heaven and with kingdom principles.
And I'm in agreement with you on everything, and I would even add, and you probably already have this added in as well, but one of the big things for me is learning to do it from a place of rest, which means I'm only doing what I see my Father doing. I'm not jumping ahead. I'm not stressing out trying to make things happen. So even if he does show me something that's going to happen further down the road, I don't need to go to all this work to try to make it happen. He will provide the pathway and things will open up. It's just sometimes we're not faithful enough. We're not strong enough in our faith, I'll say it that way, to say or do the things that he puts before us. If we just
we
do
don't
what he's
trust.
doing.
We either don't trust ourselves that we're going to be able to do it, or we don't
Yeah,
trust him that he'll provide.
exactly. And so that's, then it goes way back to the very core things of, restoration of all things. And just that idea that if you don't, the first phase of that, if you don't know who God is, you're going to have a really hard time trusting him. And that's going to affect everything else that you do in your life. And so it's so, so important. But anyway, good stuff, Bralynn. Thank you. We're going to go to the behind the scenes section, which is over on kingdomtalksmedia.com. If you go over there right now, you will catch this seamlessly as we kind of transition into the deeper dive. So that's again over on kingdomtalksmedia.com, and encourage anybody to go over there. If you're not a member, you can sign up and become a member really quick. It's $10. You can do more than $10. Love it if you did more than $10 a month. But you can do $10 and join and get all the behind the scenes from Kingdom Talks that we've done here over the last year or two. And I think that's it. And what are we going to talk about over there, Bralynn?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I can always tell more stories. You can ask me questions. If we have questions from the peeps, we can answer the questions. I can, do gold nuggets. You
All
know,
right. Well,
whatever Holy Spirit tells us to
so
do, we'll do. How about
again,
that?
if you go on over there and hop on, there is a comment section over there as well. So you can give us your questions there and have a conversation with the two of us when we're not in front of everybody. So,
Yeah.
all right. Love you all. Thank you, Bralynn. Love you. Honor you. And
Yeah,
look
thank
forward to
you.
seeing you behind the scenes.
All right.
Take care.
Hey there, SCB peeps. I want to give a huge shout out and deep appreciation and thanks to Candace Benton. She has become a super sponsor for the Spirit Centered Business Show. So I would appreciate you helping me in sending blessings and abundance back to her. Thank you so much, Candace, and you are well loved.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Centered Business with Bralynn Newby. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The next stage of doing business by being spirit-centered is coming together in collaboration, working with spiritual principles, and knowing our destiny. Join our tribe at spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace out.